Good evening, everybody. This is Omar Serrano with the Tilted Lawyer podcast. I am joining you after a lengthy hiatus. Obviously, I've been busy the last couple of months working on a big case. Today also sparks the return of the world famous Dominic, producer extraordinaire. He's helping me out with the chat tonight. He's going to be taking some of your questions and posting good ones. Obviously, super chats probably are going to get the priority with that, but look, man, I am exhausted. It's been an incredibly trying last month dealing with this case, and it's over. And I've had a lot to say, and I feel like the theme of say hello for the people, Dominic. They want to hear your voice.
Hey, what's up, guys? Feels good to be back. I've seen some people already in the chat that are like OGs, and it's crazy.
Oh yeah, we definitely have OGs, and there's new ones, there's new OGs, and there's old OGs, but they're all here, and it's a growing crowd. But yeah, the theme of representing Mike in this case has been restraint. We've had to exercise enormous restraint in this case. And so I'll just get right into it. I don't have anything prepared about what I wanted to say or how I wanted to go about it. I'm obviously not going to talk about every single little thing, but look, Mike, and you hear a lot about Mike, and you always hear about what a great guy he is. And when you meet him in person, 100% and very genuinely, he's one of the nicest human beings that you'll ever meet in life.
You got a super chat.
Thanks for that, Dominic. Just Ricardo with the $2. We missed you, Omar. Hello, lovelies. Congrats. What's up, Ricardo? I miss getting his beginning of the show super chats. And also Lucy Ortiz is a new member. Yeah, Michael Marraccini, he is one of the sweetest guys I've ever met. I met him, his wife, his sister, this last couple of days over the course of this trial. Just a tremendous family, salt of the earth type of people. I'm so happy that this is over for him, but just behind the scenes, the difficulty that I've had in representing Mike has been in how to navigate his emotions, because this is a guy that's been psychologically imprisoned by Laura Owens for the better part of a decade. Up until yesterday at about 9:30 p.m., he had a restraining order against him that had affected multiple aspects of his life, financially, job employment opportunities, his ability to travel, his ability to own firearms, his ability to live as a law-abiding citizen, because he agreed in good faith with a woman who wanted to have a restraining order against him for the sole reason that they don't have any kids together. The guy was exhausted. He had run out of money, all of these things. What he didn't know and could not have known at the time, nor could his counsel have known, is that Laura Owens, who she is, which I'm certain that all 295 of you in the chat right now are aware that Laura Owens, it was announced, was indicted on 7 additional felony counts, I believe related to Greg Gillespie. Winks, thank you so much for the 25. Says a congrats on Marseille. Thank you to Mrs. Tilted Lawyer for letting you join this battle for Mike and pulling it off. By the way, she's right here. And she has some choice words for Miss Owens because it got out that we had to miss a vacation over this continued trial. And my wife has been very supportive and all of that. And she's been, I ain't going to say that she was happy about it. It was a difficult thing to have to let go of a vacation that was planned and like we were looking forward to, and we set it up to be a certain thing. But we also had a job to do with Mike, and she 100% wanted me to finish the job. And so that was my directive going in to trial second time around for the 5th. But yeah, she has been like the unsung hero in all of this. Thank you, Rachel Taylor, for the 10. Thank you for representing. You are amazing. No, you are amazing. So let me start. I'm going to Jermaine down with the 50. Y'all are being so sweet with all of these comments. This is enough to grab me in Glenlivet in Oklahoma. Go get you one. Glenlivet. Yes. I don't have any Glenlivet on hand, but I'm familiar with the brand and I'm a fan. I drink it neat, or with some Diet Coke. Either way, I have a special glass for it. But thank you so much for the support. Let's put a pause on the chat so I could give my opening monologue. So I was aware of Owens by way of the Eckerd case. And the way I became involved with this case is because Laura Owens herself sent me an email going on about this cult, this online cult that was harassing her from the four corners of the earth. She named various content creators by name. Dave Neal and Megan Fox were the big two at the time. I had no idea who any of them were. I didn't know who she was, but she had said that she saw some kind of a tweet that Dave Neal had spoken to me and I was going to do a show, which is not true at all because I don't think Dave Neal even knew who I was at the time. I had a phone call with Dave. I was trying to get intel on the case because back then I was doing true crime stuff, and this was just a case of genuine public intrigue. I had no idea it was going to turn into what it became. I did a very famous live stream that ran 4.5 hours, 4 hours, 45 minutes or something like that, where I just went through all of the evidence that was available out on the internet. I had various conversations over email with Owens and her lunatic attorney, David Gingras. And that was richly documented in these new filings that came out for the Marraccini case. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But look, I came in with zero knowledge. I was approached by Laura Owens to look into this case and take her side. But looking at it objectively, there was no logical path towards supporting her cause. And so I supported who the facts directed me to support, which at the time was Eckerd. I knew of Mike Marraccini because of what was publicly available out there. I knew what Owens said about Marraccini. I knew about Greg Gillespie, but I did not know in depth as much as I know right now about Mike's case. That took some getting used to. I provided legal commentary on the proceedings for the Owens v. Eckerd case, and then provided legal commentary for the appellate process. I had some funny videos and public debates / rap battles with that lunatic David Gingras, Gingerbread, or whatever colloquial name you want to label him. It was all in good fun at the time, but there was a time where I was approached by a groundswell of people that, look, Mike needs some help because he was under the weight of this restraining order that he had been under since 2018. In 2020, well, let's backtrack. In 2018, he was represented. But in 2018, in the course of litigation, going back and forth, doing depositions and discovery and the things that you do to prepare for litigation, he was exhausted by this lady. And realistically, I'm sure that he probably had this conversation with his attorney. You don't owe this lady anything. You have no familial ties to her. You don't have to date her. You don't have to see her. You don't even have children together. Just stipulate to the 2-year restraining order because you're going to go to trial. She's going to say what she's going to say, and the judge is going to believe her. And Mike, in his exhaustion, believed that was a good idea. And you know what? Most of the time, it would be the end of it. What he did not know was who the depths to Laura Owens' depravity and the way that she preyed upon her victims. And so come 2020, he moves to renew the restraining order for 5 years. On the grounds that she alleged that Mike was following her or had happened to come across her at a gym somewhere or some kind of allegation, which Mike had proved or tried to prove that was demonstrably false. But the judge had concluded, well, you say, she says that she's afraid, so I'm just going to renew it. And then she did renew it. And now the order was extended to 2025. And I had talked to Mike, I want to say, way back in December or January, after the Eckerd trial. And it was just about like, what do I do? What do I do if she tries to renew? Because it feels like the system is just so unfair. Like, I can't get a fair shake. She could just make up stuff and judge takes her at her word. How do I defend myself against this lady? And we, at the time I had some ideas. But I was very real with Mike. It's very difficult to defend when somebody wants to renew a domestic violence restraining order. The way that these laws are written, especially in California, makes it so that it's literally within the DVPA where they write in the definition of what is domestic violence. There's this catch-all phrase that says anything that disturbs the peace of an individual. And Laura Owens will take that as you posed with two other men who were also my victims as a show of solidarity after a trial and stared at me. And that disturbed my peace. Therefore, domestic violence. Therefore, violation of the restraining order. Therefore, I need a new restraining order. Therefore, all kinds of things. And you get the idea. Him defending himself while she's out there going on, spouting off on these TED Talks or writing articles about what a monster Mike was, defaming his character. If he were to speak out publicly to look, that's not even true. There's no way that's true because look, this is how it really went down. When he defends himself, all of a sudden you're disturbing her peace. It's an impossible standard to defend against. And so the problem was I had to tell Mike, look, realistically, if she asks for it and she says she's afraid, in a normal case, she's going to get the thing renewed. Is there a way to try to prove that she's a fraudster and that she should never have been awarded the 2018 DVRO in the first place? Yeah, but there was an issue that because it was stipulated to, that made it infinitely harder. The way that the law ferrets that out is that you can set aside a judgment if by means of extrinsic fraud, you were deprived of an opportunity to a fair trial. That's really freaking hard to prove. And we brought a 473 motion, after the fact, and I'll talk about that. But we had floated that idea. Maybe we could do something like that. I mean, with Eckert, with Gillespie, with all the stuff that's out there, I mean, we'd have to prove it. Greg Woodnick in the Eckert case was kind of already sort of trying to line that up. How could we use that for our purposes? And that wasn't a thought that was floating around. And so, ultimately, it ended with this. Around May of this year, Laura Owens was indicted on the 7 felony counts for her involvement in the nefarious plot to defraud or do what she did against Clayton Eckert. That opened the door to, hey, maybe that does some things that we can keep in mind if she tries to go after you and renew the restraining order before it expires. But I had opined that there's no freaking way she's going to try to renew it. She's got this criminal case going on. Why would she do that? There's just no reason to do that under the circumstances. It can only do harm. You guys live in separate states. Maybe now she's going to have competent counsel that is going to instruct her, look, you can't do any of this. Stop writing blogs. Stop posting on social media. Dip into the abyss and let Mike be. But the one thing you're not going to do is subject yourself to further litigation as a result of these restraining orders when you're being prosecuted in Arizona for all of these things. There was a point in time where she had renewed against Greg Gillespie. I want to say it was earlier this year. I don't remember exactly when it was, May or June or something. Maybe it was early. I don't remember if it was before or after the criminal indictment. But Greg didn't really defend it. She just shows up pro per and asks for the renewal, and the judge grants it. And so upon the filing of the renewal, what I'd always told Mike this is like, look, it's going to be really costly to do this. It's going to be really difficult to defend. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I can't guarantee victory for you. I'm not going to lie to you and say that we're gonna win this and that you're gonna find justice as a result of your defense in this case. But if she files the renewal, we'll talk again. And that's exactly what happened. She filed again. I get the call from Mike. It's like, so do you want to defend me? And at the time, I mean, these are the things that are flowing through my mind. Cases in San Francisco. That means I'm going to have to travel up there because I live in Southern California, not in Northern California. It's like an hour and a half flight, but it's still a flight nonetheless. I can't just, it's not just right across the street from my office. The other consideration, it's a case of high publicity that I had provided commentary for on my YouTube channel in the past. That was certainly a consideration. There was, however, I don't I had not provided anything that I felt would be disqualifying. Just I had provided commentary and supplied opinions about what I thought was going on in the litigation. And to be honest with you, throughout the entirety of my commentary, I pretty much was hands off with Laura Owens. I would not talk about her. Um, Most of my commentary was for David Gingras because it was fun and we were debating about Rule 26 and things like that. And I was dead to him and he put me on his naughty list. Well, more recently, he threatened my wife and children in a tweet that he since deleted while this litigation was going on because he's chicken shit. But that's who he is. But before all of that, it was lighthearted. It was legal commentary. It's all it was. So that wasn't really the deterrent. It was the fact that me taking on this case was going to envelop my law firm in a way that most of the energy is going to be devoted towards this case. We're definitely going to be losing money off of this because the cost and the expenses of preparing for a trial of what we were trying to do was going to be, we were just never going to recoup those funds. And we are never. I saw what Woodnick, obviously the Eckert case, they ran up a bill of about $150,000 and then like another $70,000 on top of that because of appellate costs and all those things. I'm not sure if Woodnick is going to recover those costs, but he basically put this on his firm as a passion project and did a wonderful job with that. And so it just became a decision. Look, I'm either going to do this or I'm not. And who am I as an attorney? I get up here and I say a lot of things. I talk a lot of things. Am I going to take on this case knowing full well that the deck is stacked against us the way that it is? And there was this fleeting thought that if you don't take this case, you're kind of chicken shit for not doing it. Like you can't. I mean, like, are you a man of principle? Are you going to live by your principle? Are you going to live by some kind of a purpose? If that's the case, then you got to do the right thing and you got to help Mike. Now, look, I'm not the only person that was helped. I had a team of people made up of many of you that are in the audience right now that helped with research and helped with a lot of things. Even just like the moral support, Rachel Juarez helped and volunteered to be co-counsel on the case for offering her services. I had a team of folks. It was definitely not just me. And of course, we were all here for the purpose of defending against Mike. And then there was the other obvious risk. Like, what's the risk here? There's this groundswell of people that have taken a position against Laura Owens and David Gingras. And then there was a certain risk that, hey, the law is kind of stacked against us. We don't really have the law on our side. So how do we go about navigating that? And then the risk being that if you lose, you've now publicly lost to Laura Owens and David Gingras. That 100% was in the back of my mind. I didn't want to be the guy to lose to those people. But I took the case knowing full well that was a real possibility because these are so freaking hard to win. So strategically, we had to solve the issue. How do we go about letting the judge know and the court know that this is not standard run-of-the-mill, simple renewal requests that are granted like 95% of the time when a litigant asks for them? We had to do something extraordinary. So my idea with the 473 motion, look, legally, do we have a winning legal argument with that one? It's debatable. The biggest impediment towards whether or not that is a legally cognizant argument is whether or not his stipulation to the restraining order in 2018 disqualifies him from 473 relief. If we could prove that that stipulation was brought about by coercion and fraud and the pressures of being lied to and extrinsically frauded out of a fair trial, then yeah, maybe. But that is a high bar to reach. And there's no case law that says, yeah, definitely, if you could prove these things, then that's what extrinsic fraud is, and you're going to win. It was an uphill battle, and we knew that, but it did a couple of things. Number one, it let the judge know who Laura Owens is, that she has a long history of fraud going back over a decade, really going back to 2014. In a DVRO renewal case, you're limited in scope to really what happened between the time of the renewal and the time that she's requested renewal to constitute a further renewal. That would limit us to, 2020 to 2025. But if we bring in this 473 motion, now we're talking about stuff and opening up the door to bring in stuff from 2015, 2016, 2017, when Laura Owens was faking or personifying medical doctors and saying that she had cancer and saying that she had 7 abortions for one singular pregnancy. Every time that she felt that Mike was pulling away, she would say, "Oh, I guess my abortion didn't work out." And it was like this heavy back and forth that they were having between the two. We would have had to bring in experts to talk about how that is coercive control, coercive psychological control at the hands of a mentally ill narcissist that was trying to infringe upon Michael's freedom of movement from that relationship. And how that extended not just from Mike, but onto Greg Gillespie, on to Clayton Eckert, and who the hell knows how many other victims there were. So that was one of the reasons for the 473. And of course, the other thing that we had to combat was that Laura Owens 100% was trying to litigate this from Arizona. And we're like, look, if we're going to go down, if she really wants a restraining order in California, then she needs to come to California and sit on the witness stand and answer these questions and win this case on the merits. But she has to do it under under cross-examination, live testimony, in the crucible, the testing grounds of the witness stand, inside a courtroom with the judge there, where Mike has the ability to exercise his constitutional right to confront his accuser. None of this Zoom stuff where she could have cue cards, she could have ChatGPT on the screen as she's looking at the Zoom camera, answering her questions. None of that. No. We wanted her in the courtroom. And so the first thing that we wrote was this opposition to her wanting the thing ruled upon on the papers. And our big argument was, look, she's the one asking for a permanent restraining order. All of the case law, all of the rules of court, everything points to this proposition that it would be a due process violation for Mike Marraccini not to have the opportunity to confront Laura Owens in person inside a courtroom to cross-examine her. The judge never really officially ruled on it, but she kind of ruled on it at subsequent hearings and basically said, yeah, Laura, you're going to have to come here to court. You're going to have to sit here and answer the questions. It's improper to testify via Zoom. If you're going to do something like that, you better have a really good reason. One of the fascinating things that happened with this case is the judge started to gather experience with Laura and her behavior and her actions and what she would do and the little things she would pick up on. If you give Laura Owens a centimeter, she will stretch that into a 5K race. She will take any little thing that I remember. There was one time I had an email exchange with her where I said that, look, you're probably like riddled with anxiety with everything going on. Like, you don't need this in your life. Like, we were trying to give her an out with this, like very early on. We had offered her to just walk away. You walk away, we'll walk away. We won't bring this 473. We won't ask for sanctions. We won't ask for future prosecutions by a California court if they wanted to do that, or for a referral to that. We will leave you alone, but you got to go. And you got to leave Mike alone. And then we will go, and then that'll be done. Obviously, she rejected that. Anyway, so I filed that. David Gingras makes his appearance on August 15th. And there was some shenanigans that went on with the service of that. Now, there was a hearing on August 15th. Laura Owens was trying to serve Mike with the DVRO, as she's supposed to do, in person. There was some shenanigans going on with the service. I'm not going to get too much into that. But they caught wind that I was going to represent or appear at the August 15th. I got a call from David like the day before. He said that he was going to appear representing Laura Owens at that hearing. And I said, great. And then we had like a, 15, 20-minute conversation. And then the next day we appeared remotely, and we were off. In that hearing, that's when David Gingras said that I think that this is going to take 15 minutes because the scope of this hearing is going to be so narrow, we could get this done in 15 minutes. And I'm just like, Your Honor, I can tell you right now, we have prospectively like 6 to 8 witnesses. We're going to need at least 2 full days of trial for this case. And I had let the judge in on the fact that, by the way, in case you didn't know, because Laura Owens failed to bring it up in her moving papers, she's been indicted criminally in Arizona 7 felony counts related to fraud, fraudulent schemes, tampering with evidence, perjury, and the like. There's some credibility issues here. The standard being that she has to present a credible fear of Mike Marraccini moving forward. We are going to be challenging her credibility in these proceedings. We need 2 full days of trial. We're going to need a long cause trial. And the judge agreed with that, and we were off. So that was the weekend. The whole weekend passes, and I think we had a phone call. I don't remember if it was like on a Monday or a Tuesday. That's the famous 66-minute phone call where it was me and Rachel and David Gingras, and we were all on the phone. I was expecting it to be like a 5 or 10-minute conversation. It was going to be like, what's our expectations for the case? Our plan during that conversation was to be like, look, Laura had expressed online, like in a blog post or somewhere, I forget where, but that she wasn't doing well. She was having suicidal ideations and things like that. And we were concerned. It's like, look, I don't think that's the best idea for Laura to have to go forward with what we're planning on doing, how we're going to defend Mike in this case. So we're going to offer her this one time. If she walks away, we will file nothing. We will drop it. She's got to drop it, though. If she drops it, we will drop it, because we were planning the 473 motion. We were planning on writing the response to her moving papers. What we weren't planning was a motion to disqualify David Gingras. That didn't come up until approximately like 40-something minutes into the conversation, when David Gingras says that he needed Mike Marraccini to testify because it was going to help his defense in an unrelated bar complaint against him that was being processed in Arizona, which has gone forward, and I don't know what the status of that is, but he's could conceivably lose his bar license and all of that. I don't even know how long we were talking. I just remember I was just getting so tired of him rambling and speaking so fast. The guy could not stay on subject. It was all about him. We literally called to talk about Laura. We wanted to talk about Laura, and all he wanted to talk about was David Gingras. And I was honestly tired of it. I was so glad that Rachel was there, because she was just a lot more. She was softer than I was. And so I was losing patience where she had all the patience in the world. And it was really helpful to have her on that phone call. But there was some point where Gingras lets loose that he needs Mike to testify to help him with his Arizona bar defense. And like, David, that is a conflict of interest. What do you mean you need that? And then Rachel's like, yeah, that's a conflict of interest. And he's like, no, it isn't. And like, he was kind of taken aback by it. And then we were going this. Yeah.
Sorry. Chat wants me to have you do donos really quick, or do you want to hold off?
Donos? What is that?
Donations.
Dominic, never do that again. You got to clear what if you're gonna like make up words, man. You got to okay.
So it's right here. I'll put them on for you.
Oh, do it. Ricardo says, thanks, Mrs. Serrano. Behind every hero is a wife. And behind every wife, no, it doesn't go the other way around. You're right, Ricardo. Thank you so much. Weezy $5 says, congrats, Omar and Mike. Will all of her shenanigans have any chance of resulting in a bond violation in Arizona? Some legally sketchy nonsense going on. No. I mean, I don't know. That's up to them. She asked for permission to leave court. If I recall correctly, she did the same thing. Like back in September, she asked permission to leave, but didn't leave because she says she got COVID, and like asked for permission to leave again because of her illness. So I can't imagine that it's going to result in anything, but that's really up to them. Mary Smith with the 20 says, thank you for being Mike's lawyer. I can't even imagine how it felt for him to have you in your corner. Congrats on your win. I don't know. We had a group chat. I think that most of the time in the group chat is me popping off, me and Rachel going back and forth about like just various things that were going on. Mike was honestly really just super cool throughout the whole thing. Lauren with the 5. What's up, Lauren? Omar defected from my cult to do a service for some dude named Mike. That's exactly what happened. Rosalind Duke, how are you with the $50 from all the ladies? Oh, thank you so much, Rosalind Duke. I had an opportunity to meet her at the October 21st and 22nd trial with Megan Fox. They were at the restaurant. It was a pleasure meeting all of them. Aquanetta with the 50. How you been, young lady? With the super sticker. It's good to see you back in here again. Mary Smith with the 10. Is the judge aware that she didn't go to the last court date for a horse competition? I will get to that, Mary Smith. The short answer is I don't know. but it did not come up at the hearing, and we didn't raise it in a motion yet. Echoes from the Tabernacle. May I just say that I'm a fan, sir, of your work. You do good work, and I love the way that your channel is evolving. Keep it up, man. I would advise against calling it Echoes from the Cubbyhole, though. I'm not sure where that came from. I thought the Tabernacle was kind of a badass name. I vote for that one. $10 from all the dudes. That is appropriate. Thank you, sir. Harry Smith with the 50. From all the men, Lamau. I'm not sure what to say to that. Lamau. Sis Kate with the 5 says, I can't be a cult member. I never got a t-shirt. Yeah, neither did I. I don't even know what the cult t-shirt would look like. Jules Amen with the 5 says, is there anything you do to block her from continuing filing protection orders and keep torturing Mike and family? No. If she wanted to file, what was that? Was that you, Dominic?
Yeah, my bad.
Oh, never. That's strike 2. Yeah, she could conceivably have filed a request for a new restraining order today if she wanted to. The problem with that is there's jurisdictional issues. I don't think she files that in California. She's not a resident of California. Second of all, she'd have to have a basis for doing so. I don't know exactly what it is in Arizona, but in California, it would have to be some recent instance of domestic violence. And there's nothing that has occurred. Matter of fact, we just litigated this case. They got dismissed. And so, conceivably she could ask. I don't think they know about her up in Arizona. They know about her down in California now. She's becoming a very popular person, litigants around these courts. And so though she could request and ask, I just don't think it's going to get her very far. Are we done with those, Dominic, or is there more?
No, that was the last one.
Oh, okay, good. If you can unstar them, otherwise I'm going to click on them again. Where did I leave off with that? I was talking about, what was I talking about?
She had requested permission. She had done it before, but she didn't show.
I was talking about Gingris's thing. The phone call. That's right. Anyway, in the course of that conversation with David Gingras, me and Rachel were just kind of going back and forth, like, what do we even do with this? Like, what do we do with this? That's obviously a conflict of interest. I didn't know at the time if we could get him kicked off, because we'd even talked about that. David even brought it up, but he said that, yeah, but if Lori gives me permission, I could still represent her. And I didn't know if that was legally how that works in California. And I had to research that. Turns out that's not the case. It's up to the courts if they want to accept that or not. Anyway, I had filed a motion to disqualify David. He had called me as I was getting ready to file the motion, basically stating that he had no intent of going forward in this case, that he was not going to represent Laura Owens in the case. And that was it. I said, okay, well, good. And he kind of hinted at reasons why, and I don't need to get into those. But I relayed that to our legal team and was like, could we trust him with this information? Because what's to stop him from coming in at the 11th hour and dropping, hey, I'm just stepping back into the case. And now we have these 2 major conflicts of interest. We couldn't risk it. And so if that were to happen, we would have literally probably had to ask a continuance or make an oral motion, which I'm not even sure that would work, for disqualification. Either way, the risk was it would necessarily force us to delay proceedings, which we didn't want to do. So we said, well, why don't we just file it now? If he's really not going to represent her, then he's not going to respond and it'll be moot, whatever, fine. Which, by the way, is what a normal attorney would do. I'm not going to represent this person, motion disqualify. Hey, I'm not going to oppose it. They're right, because to avoid the appearance of impropriety, I'm out. That's what a normal attorney does. The problem with that is half of Laura's request for the new restraining or the continuance of the restraining order had to deal with events that happened at June 10th, which necessarily had to do with a bar complaint that David Gingras was defending against. And he characterized in a written declaration in Laura's moving papers that series of events that I had to correct to let the judge understand that, look, he characterized this set of events trying to claim that Mike Marraccini had violated a restraining order, even though he was a named witness, a subpoenaed witness in the case, in violation of stuff, and that he was worthy of prosecution. He may have violated federal laws. I had to correct that narrative. I can't have the judge sitting with that grossly inaccurate narrative. And so in the course of writing the motion to DQ, I had to phrase the facts in the manner that we believed that they needed to be phrased. What I knew in the back of my head was that that was going to trigger David Gingras into a fit of rage. And I had no idea that it was going to result in him declaring himself to be an intervener and wanting to basically write a love letter to JFC, because his motion to intervene, motion to disqualify me and to refer me to, state bar or whatever else he wanted to do, it really had nothing to do with me. It had to do with like Lauren Knighty and a Loud Little Ducky and Echoes of the Tabernacle, I think. And David Neal and Megan Fox. Like, is this about me or is this about them? Which was what happened? All of them. Echoes, Loud Little, yeah. Right. And I didn't even know about all of them that he had listed. And he tried to paint it as if I was on their team or somehow feeding them information or filing things so that they can make contact. I didn't even know all of the people that he had referenced. And I certainly have no business telling Lauren what to do. That lady does what she wants. I have no control or ability to control that lady whatsoever. At any rate, that happened. He writes this unhinged motion. I responded in like the most calm way I could possibly try to conjure. And then he has this follow-up. And the background of that was this. I was going to respond to his response. But then we got this tentative ruling. And the tentative ruling was this, that my motion to disqualify was moot, which I would agree that it was moot. I just wanted the judge to know that I raised this back in August in case I get accused of knowing about it and trying to raise it for the first time in October on the eve of trial. And then she said that David Gingras's arguments were stupid and collateral, and she called his motion a sideshow, not worthy of entertaining. He did not have legal grounds to be an intervener, and therefore all his other requests were therefore dismissed. And that was that. And then I had contemplated whether or not to object to the judge's tentative rulings, because I wanted her to know that behind the scenes, David Gingras says that he was not representing Laura Owens, but 100% he was representing her behind the scenes. There was an occasion where he had reached out to me to try to offer a settlement. He'd even blogged about this. And by the way, as I'm not talking about this case whatsoever, and he's accusing me of acting in bad faith for like putting things on the internet, while he's trying to act as an intervener, he's like blogging about it and going back and forth and arguing in discords and things and doing David Gingras things. He's doing all of that. He offers me this settlement on like a Friday afternoon. I had just gotten home. I was like, I'm not about to respond to a David Gingras email on a Friday afternoon. I was going to wait till Monday. But in the course of that he said that I also think that we could probably work something out with Laura. I could represent her for the limited purpose of fostering some kind of a settlement. And when I responded to that, it was on Monday morning. And on Monday morning, we basically emailed Laura. We said, Laura, we got an email from David Gingras. We understand he's not supposed to be representing you. We think that's highly inappropriate anyway. But if you have something that you want to present in way of a resolution, just put it in writing. We could talk about it. Like 10 or 15 minutes later, I got an email from David Gingras. Yeah, that's off the table. You waited till Monday to represent me. And he basically told me to fuck off. And that was that. I was getting ready to object on the grounds that, look, David keeps on trying to say that he has no intention or he's not representing Laura Owens. He is actively representing her, like in ghost form behind the scenes. I can't talk to Laura without getting an email from David Gingras 10 minutes later. It got to the point where it was like, David, I'm not talking to you anymore about this case. I'm not answering your emails. I'm not answering your phone calls. If you're not her counsel, I don't want to talk to you. I had tried to contact him shortly before that, and it was basically like this. Look, this is what I'm thinking. I don't want to have to object to this tentative. I'm willing to let it go. I just need to know that you're not going to try to come back in at the 11th hour and represent Laura Owens. And then he would respond, I'm not representing Laura Owens. Okay, fine. But tell me that you're not ever going to represent Laura Owens in these proceedings, and then we're good. And then he says, I don't know how more clearly I could put it. I am not representing Laura Owens right now. I'm just saying, why don't you answer the question? Tell me right now you're not going to come back in on this case. I won't object, and we could be done. And then we had this back and forth. And then that resulted in him blocking me and referring me to his attorney buddy. I don't know whose name, I forget whose name it was, but he had his attorney basically respond, I am representing David Gingras as a witness in this case. And please refrain from contacting him. He is not representing Laura Owens, which let me know that there is still a chance that David is going to try to come in at the 11th hour on October 21st and try to represent Owens in this trial, maybe to cause a delay, maybe to muddy the waters, maybe, who knows? And so I made the decision not to object to the judge's tentative and just say, let's just see what happens. If after all of that, he really does try to come in on October 21st to represent her, there's no chance that the judge is just going to be like, you know what? Yeah, you're disqualified, buddy. You're disqualified. What is that about? I had predicted in my filings he was going to do this. And if he were to do that, it would basically turn me into a prophet. It would have happened exactly the way that we flagged that it was going to happen. And for that reason, I think he just bowed out. He's like, you know what, enough. He had enough. I still think that he had his hands in subsequent filings for Owens, but maybe. I got to the point where reading stuff from Owens, like, okay, that's definitely a David Gingras sentence. That's ChatGPT, Gingras. Her filings were like mixtures of Gingras and ChatGPT, 100%. And, there were some that you could tell were from, I don't know. That was that whole fiasco. Once that was done, I'm exhausted. And now I'm dealing directly with Owens. And then I had reached out to her to try to, calm things down. And this would come back to haunt me. It was like, basically I said that, look, you got a lot of things going on right now. I don't hate you. I don't have any ill will towards you. She was really upset about our filings because at that point, all of our filings, and she's upset that we had filed, hundreds of pages of stuff and, all of our exhibits. And obviously she did not want to be my friend. It's like, look, I have no ill will towards you. I wish you all the best. I know you got a lot going on. I think that you're scared. I think you have a lot of anxiety. I think that this criminal case is a lot. I think that it would be better for your life if you just let this go. And if you do that at any point in this litigation, we will walk away because that's what Mike wants. And that's what we want. We're not here to win the big case. That's all we want. Obviously that received no response. And so we're litigating, and I'm just going to fast forward to the part where we're getting ready for trial. And in the midst of that, I've flown into San Francisco. I got there on a Sunday afternoon. We had trial. And Lauren says, David loves Omar more than David loves me. I'm not so sure if that's true. Steve Hodgson. I met Steve. I just saw him yesterday. Super nice guy. Says, hi, Omar. I was there on 8/15 and have been there. I saw Steve on camera when I was there for the Zoom thing. He was sitting on the side. I saw you there, Steve. And I've been there for every step of the way. Stir crazy with. Thanks. Wow. Thanks. Dominic is rusty. He's doing his best. All right. Stir crazy with 5 says, it's great having you back, Omar. And by the way, Lamau means laughing my ass off. Lol. I know that's what it means. I was just phonetically phrasing it. I don't know. Ricardo says, Dingus is as Dingus does. Hope he goes to jail. He may. You never know with that guy. It's no wonder with the 5 says, Omar, so glad to see you back on YouTube. Your coverage before this case was super fair and unbiased, but it's awesome that you got Mike's back. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that's it. All right. So let's fast forward to the 21st. Oh, Mike is in the chat. My wife says Mike is in the chat. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike. That didn't quite work out the way it was in my head. I'm exhausted, man. I'm used to like looking at nothing, and like my wife is sitting right there, and so it's like, and then she's like piping up. So on the eve of trial, I think it's like the Monday before trial. I'm not going to name who it was, but there was another person who framed themselves as an attorney that was like a friend of the Owens family that was trying to intervene and try to step in, trying to see if there was a way to avoid litigation. And they had tried to get Mike to agree to another restraining order. It's like, hey, if Mike agrees to like a 2-year restraining order in good faith and behaves himself, then we won't try to renew after that. It's like hell, we're going to do that. Then they said, all right, well, what about 1 year? It's like, what about no? We're never going to do that. It got to the point where it was like, okay, this guy who I believe was acting in good faith, and I just don't think that he knew what he was stepping into. Basically, we talk, and it's like, if Mike signs a non-disclosure agreement and non-disparagement agreement, then we will agree to mutually dismiss. The problem with that is it's infringing upon Mike's First Amendment rights. They have put stuff out there. I mean, she did TED Talks. She writes Chicken Soup for the Soul articles about what a monster he is. David Gingras is out there putting out all of Owens' allegations for the internet, exposing his entire deposition without permission, by the way. He has a right to defend himself. And I would never want to put Mike in a position where me and Rachel had discussed this. We can't ever put Mike in a position where he is under Owens' control. She doesn't like something he says. She goes for like moves for a contempt order because he violated the non-disparagement clause or something like that. It's like, no, it's like, look, you walk away, we'll walk away. That's the only settlement offer you're going to get. And I put a time frame on it. I said 8 p.m. You got till 8 p.m. If you're not going to agree to that by 8 p.m., then we'll just see you in the morning. That was that. At 8:15 or so, I got another call from that attorney saying, wow, he was trying to salvage something. He's like, is there anything Mike will agree to? It's like, I mean, he'll agree not to break the law. You know, I mean, we're not just going to sign any other of these civil litigation style clauses that you would normally find in civil litigation, like a general release of claims and things like that. We're not doing that. She walks away, we'll walk away. We could avoid it. I'll tell you what, she dismisses, we'll dismiss, and we won't ask for attorney fees and costs or sanctions and all of those other things. How about that? And then about 10 minutes later, we're sitting there waiting. We're prepping with the entire legal team, all of our trial notebooks. Rachel's, she was really sick. Her voice sounded terrible. She sounded like she was in a lot of pain. But she was communicating with us over the phone. And then I got the email stating that Owens agrees to those terms. And I told that. Mike was in the room with me. And it was, I tell you what, it was like this celebration. Everybody started crying. There was tears of happiness, tears of joy. It was finally over. It was like this surreal moment. I had called my wife to let her know that it was over and it was happy and we were looking forward to our vacation and all of this kind of stuff. And we're sitting there, we're talking about it, and we just kind of let our guards down, you know, and let us believe that it was over. And the plan was that we were going to show up in court and just say that, Your Honor, we have reached a mutual resolution. If you don't mind, we could just put it on the record. And we're just going to basically mutually dismiss the case. And that was going to be that. That was going to be the plan. About 25 minutes later, after that phone call, I'm sitting there and like just like in disbelief, it's shock, like my body is numb from the adrenaline that was coursing through my veins that started to kind of try to dissipate. I feel my phone buzz, and it's an email from Owens from the courts asking for a remote leak asking for a leak to appear remotely, which is fine because that's what she said she was going to do. And then about another 15 minutes pass, and then there's another email from Owens to the court asking for a remote leak for David Gingras. And I'm like, why in the F does David need to be there? And then I got all these thoughts. Is he trying to like sub back in? And then I did not want to tell everybody that the email that I had in my possession because, you know, they're all celebratory. And so I just emailed Laura back and said, hey, it's my understanding that we have an agreement. Is that still the case? And then like maybe 5 minutes later, no, we don't have an agreement. And at that point, I was livid, pissed. I was so pissed off. I had to break the news to the legal team, and it was somber. I don't know. I don't remember if it was tears. I remember my blind, silent rage, and I went into just like rage mode, silent rage mode. And I just started preparing for what I was going to do in the morning for Laura's cross, for Jingris's cross, for a renewed motion to DQ because I thought that he was coming back in. I had these images in my mind that she must have talked to David, and like she had this agreement that she probably called him and started crying to him, and he convinced her that no, you could never agree to that because he's just gonna whatever. I don't know. I can that's just what I thought. Either way, it didn't matter. I had to make sure we were ready to go. It was just going to be me there with Mike in the morning. I was more afraid to break the news to Mike because he had already left, and he left with all the good news. I had to call him up and say, "Hey, yo, just so you know, Owens just rescinded the agreement. It's back on. Trial's back on." And then he's just like, "Well, I guess it's game on. Let's go do this." He was remarkably resolute in that moment, which inspired me to stay up with the legal team until about 2 a.m. that morning, prepping for trial. We get there on the 21st in the morning, and we're ready to go. We were ready to do the thing, and we don't have a court reporter that morning. But more importantly, Owens was not there in court. She had tried to raise this emergency, whether she was having an emergency medical condition, which, by the way, even before that, I forgot. She had kind of previewed that on October 6th, there was around or thereabouts, the 6th or the 7th, she didn't even know if she could appear for court because she had tried to ask for a continuance because, number one, she needed time to find an attorney. She needed time to deal with some medical issues that were life-threatening. And she didn't even know if she was going to be healthy enough to be there on the 21st, and she could have an emergency on the 21st. And I'm thinking, how could you plan for an emergency 2 weeks in advance? Why don't you just take care of your medicals now and wait till we get there? Emergencies are usually like the day of. That's why they call them emergencies, spur of the moment things. And so she's basically telegraphing that she will have an emergency on the day of trial, and all those things. Anyway, just an aside from that, the judge kind of shut that down. It's like, look, you've had plenty of time. You've had 2 months to get an attorney. She mentioned something about David Gingras. David Gingras didn't even sub into the case, and you knew he wasn't going to be your attorney. You've had plenty of time. She represented to the court that the first time she looked for an attorney was like on the first week of August or October. It's like, why did you wait 2 months? Why did you wait before like 2 weeks for trial? Anyway, the judge wasn't giving her any leeway. We're going forward on the 21st, and I ordered you to be there in person. The many minutes came out and said that the judge strongly suggested that she be there in person, which I was there. That was not my notes. The judge ordered her to be there, but Laura took that and tried to make the most of it and said, oh, I thought because the minute order said that you strongly suggest that I could appear on Zoom if I want. And that was her game. That was her play for the 21st. And so on the 21st, I'm not sure how much it would have mattered anyway. We had 2 days for trial. So 21st and the 22nd, we couldn't do anything about the 21st, no court reporter, but we were going to try again. We had the ability to get our own court reporter for the 22nd, which is what we did. And Laura was ordered to appear on the 22nd. And then, she's basically flipping out. She does not want to be there in person. She's emailing the court back and forth. This is unfair. I've been harassed online. I have all of these medical ailments. I have anorexia. I have PTSD from the events stemming from the original 2018 DVRO. She has all of the things, right? Everything is wrong with her. Gastrointestinal bleeding, vomiting blood. I think that was the new one. I don't know how many different medical things, but she was just throwing whatever she could at the wall. And the court basically said, oh, well, the orders are the orders. We get an email late that night around 4:45 p.m. Stating that she had requested ADA accommodations. Me and Rachel did not track it at the time because she had offered the ADA argument before. Like she offered that in August or filed something to that effect in August. She had talked about that in other cases that we had seen, ADA accommodations because of her autism or whatever. And nobody ever done anything about it. So we weren't expecting that to really be anything. And so we were showing up for court fully not expecting her to show up because of the way that she was basically just throwing tantrums with the court through emails and things. We get there, and it was basically either she's going to be here or not. And if she's not, our expectation was the case was going to get dismissed. And what we did not know and could not have known was that there was an in-camera meeting in chambers with the judge, with Owens on Zoom. I have no idea what she said to the judge. I have no idea what was presented. I know what she presented the night before, which was that she had life-threatening PTSD. She had this nurse practitioner, which, by the way, in California, it's the law. You cannot refer to yourself as a doctor if you are a nurse practitioner. That violates like 4 different statutes in California. I don't know how they do it in Arizona, and that lady was in Arizona, but I knew that she wasn't a doctor. I knew that for sure. Her symptoms were self-reported. She had not been clinically diagnosed in like a clinical environment where somebody could label her that she is facing life-threatening mental illness. And if that were the case, I'm fairly certain that she would have been admitted to the hospital to be observed to make sure that we get her out of the red, so to speak, out of the life-threatening, whatever was the life-threatening thing. So we get there in the morning, and proceedings are delayed. Court's supposed to start at 9 o'clock. By the way, I really love Judge Gold. She was amazing in all of these things. She's a really, really sharp lady. What I believe happened with the ADA thing is I think that Laura basically sent the email to the presiding judge of the court, or like all of the judges, the boss of the judges, raising these ADA issues, stating that, she needs this continuance because she needs time to prepare or whatever she needed to do. The fact that Judge Gold continued those proceedings, it was inconsistent with everything she was saying before. I think that they were just being cautious, and it makes a lot of sense. You really can't do much about the ADA stuff. They made ADA accommodations for her. They granted her this 2-week continuance, and I had to walk out there, and everybody's expecting a dismissal. It was like this cheerful environment. Everybody was happy. Everybody was getting ready to celebrate. It was going to be like this celebration of Mike's freedom and, getting the weight of this case off of his shoulders. And then it is not. And then we were continued to November 5th. And basically, the judge gave us a couple of dates. He basically said, I don't have 2 days to give you. I got November 5th and I got November 12th. That's what we have. If you want 2 days together, we're going to have to go further out. I was like, well, Your Honor, we don't want to go further out. Mike had no ability to be there on the 12th. So 5th was the date. And they're like, oh, shit, but my vacation. But we had to consider like the position that we were in. Like right now we had a judge that wanted Laura Owens to be there in person, that had made orders because she was trying to move this case along. We had Laura in a position where she didn't have counsel. It was unlikely that she was going to get counsel on such short notice. I did not want to give her extra time and basically reward her negligence in preparing for a trial that she had 2 months to get ready for. And so it was really important that we get the earliest possible date. So we took the 5th. We did not want this going into December. We did not want, that's the last thing. Could you imagine? It's like Christmas time and we're having to go into San Francisco to deal with Laura Owens on temper tantrums through email and whatnot. It was just not an appealing proposition for really anybody. And so we took the 5th, and I had to go home and explain to my wife that, hey, so about that vacation that we planned, well, it might not work out. And that was a really hard conversation that I had to have. I will say that my wife was amazing and all of that. Yeah, she was disappointed, but she fully understood the job and the objective, and she was supportive of me in finishing this job and supportive of the cause. And she really started to hate Laura. I was like, this effing lady's making me miss my vacation. You go over there to San Francisco and finish this thing. It's like, yes, ma'am, I will. And that was the directive. She was still mad. She was still hopeful that somehow magically we'd be able to salvage the vacation. It was not to be because of everything that happened subsequent to that. And so that was hard because after that, Mike immediately gets teary-eyed. He's sitting right next to me. I'd only felt that one other time before, that level of emotion for a disappointing outcome in courts. And what was worse is that everybody's like ready to celebrate and like congratulate and hugs and cheers and, going out to dinner and things like that, or lunch or whatever we were going to do. But we had to, nope, it was not dismissed. It was continued. It was continued. And that was that. And I was very much trying to keep my emotions in check. I didn't know how to console Mike. He walks outside and then his wife is crying and they're just talking about, they would just want to get back to their kids, man. Like they were just so tired. And I could just see firsthand the weights of 10 years of this shit from this. I don't know what Laura Owens is, man. I don't know what is her sickness. I don't know if she's possessed by a demon. It wouldn't surprise me if she was. But whatever she's put these people through, I saw it firsthand in the faces of Mike and his wife and everybody else. And that was really hard. And then people are sticking microphones in my face to try to like give a statement about what just happened in court. And I'm trying to collect myself because I am seething mad, but it's all internal. And so it's all just like this silent rage. And Megan Fox wants me to give a statement. I just had to tell her that, look, this was not a loss. This was delayed gratification. We're going to come back on the 5th and we're going to finish the job is essentially what I said. It was difficult to collect the words to say in that moment because I was really trying to manage everybody else's emotions and not knowing what to say to Mike. I was just so angry. And that took a couple of days to get over. But, we recovered. We were fine. And we were resolute. In what we had to do. So fast forward to that. I'm not going to read the emails that were going back because they were numerous and they were crazy. I get an email on or around, let me see if I could get these at least in chronological order. There's the one from the 4th. That was also from the 4th. And then there was these ones from, the 29th. Which one did I get first? Oh, there was a point like after that. Okay, so after that, imagine I got contacted by Owens, that attorney that I'm not going to name him. I don't want to drag him into this. People think whatever they want about him, but I really truly believe that he was acting in good faith. And what I did was I basically apologized to him because he tried to reach back out to see if there was anything that we would be willing to agree to that would be tantamount to basically a non-disparagement agreement. And what I basically told the guy was like, look, I really appreciate your help and trying to help, but look, we had an agreement last time. Laura backed out of it. That was really hard for us to stomach. We trust nothing that this lady says. And it was at that time that we had caught wind, obviously, about, the horse show stuff. And we're trying to decide, what are we going to do with this information? Number one, we had to corroborate it. We knew that she was there for the weekend. What I wanted to know was whether or not she had been there on the days of trial, because we found out that the deadline to sign up for that event was something like October 6th or something like that. And she had to be there and check in, I think, on the 22nd to register. And then she had to get her horses there like on the 21st or the 22nd. And then we were trying to reach out to the people that were there at the show just to see if anybody had saw her like walking around on those days on the 21st or the 22nd. I don't know what people were saying online about it because I kind of like just cut myself off from all of that. I was really just dialed in to what we were doing. We had a couple of eyewitnesses that were willing to say that she was, they don't know about the 21st. She may or may not have, they just weren't sure, but she was definitely there on the 22nd. Eyewitness testimony, I don't know if we were going to be able to prove that or not. I know that Laura was going to deny it. But then she basically sent me an email upset that JFC was talking about this because I told the attorney that, look, nothing against you. Nice try. I really appreciate your efforts trying to do this. You're like the 15th attorney Owens has had in these things. I just don't trust anything she has to say. And by the way, we know what she was up to at this point. If she's not going to just dismiss, then we're just going to go forward. We'll see y'all on the 5th. That was it. And then Owens emails me really upset that I saw the thing that you sent to so-and-so. And I think that you're trying to intimidate them. I did not have 15 attorneys. And then I told her that it's kind of well known who those attorneys were. She asked me to name them. And so then I did name them. And then I counted, oh, I guess it wasn't 15. It was actually 16. I put that in response to her. And then she was threatening me with like bar complaints. She was talking about that she wasn't there at the horse show and that she had this doctor's appointment on the 22nd that she admitted to me that she had missed. But if I were just subpoena like the surveillance footage, she basically wanted me to do discovery rather than handing me proof that she was actually there. She wanted me to like subpoena surveillance footage and GPS coordinates that she was actually at the hospital. But oh, by the way, I missed that because I was late for the appointment because I had to appear in court. And so I missed it by like a few minutes, which by the way, I don't go to the doctors a lot, but every single time I go, I'm late, but like a few minutes, and they never just cancel that's never happened. That's definitely not a thing. So I was skeptical, but she admitted to me that she missed her appointment. But yeah, she was there and she was upset about what she was actually wearing. I guess people were talking about her wearing a shirt or whatever. She said that she had prepared like a 40-page bar complaint against me, and that she was going to file whatever she was going to file against me. And I had I don't know. I told her that, look, she could file whatever she wants to file. As to her characterization of whatever she thinks is going on, all I got to say with respect to that is I disagree. That was it. And so that was earlier in the week. As we're getting closer, what I did not know was going on was that there was apparently another motion for further ADA accommodations. They already had accommodated her with a 2-week extension. And I have no idea what she was requesting, but what I'd imagine she was requesting was basically to testify via Zoom or to like submit written responses to pre-screened questions or whatever, something she'd asked for previously. And that request was denied by Judge Gold. And then there was a writ that was filed, basically appealing the judge's decision, where she tried to get either, a reversal of Judge Gold's decision to deny her request, or at least to stay the November 5th trial so that she could have time to further litigate, I guess, the appeal that she had filed. I didn't know that she had done that. Apparently, she had served me with that like late on Sunday evening. I didn't realize until Monday morning. I'm not even sure that I was supposed to be served with that, but she served us. And so we saw everything that she filed. And then the appellate court basically said, yeah, you didn't properly write this. It wasn't properly filed. It wasn't properly argued. It was a very quick denial. And that was that. And then she throws a tantrum with the courts, just basically emailing her that this is unfair. I have all these medical conditions. I cannot come to court for all of these different reasons. Check that. So the tantrums with the court, November 4th, 2025, on the eve of trial, I'm preparing to leave. I'm at my office, putting finishing touches on the things that I was preparing for my cross-examinations and direct examinations and so on and so forth, making last-minute modifications and getting ready to fly out to San Francisco. And then I catch an email from the court stating that they were informed that there was a high chance that there was not going to be a court reporter there for tomorrow, and that if there's not a court reporter, they're going to have no choice but to continue it. But we were welcome to bring our own court reporter. Because we had been there and now gained some experience inside that courtroom, we were prepared for that. We'd been looking for a court reporter just in case, like the week before. So we had one on deck. We had inquired whether or not we could have a remote certified shorthand court reporter present, because those are way cheaper than having somebody in person. We were prepared to go either way. We just wanted that clarification, to which Laura Owens basically objected to anything. And she said, basically in a nutshell, based on the court stating that there was a high chance that this thing was not going to go forward or get continued because of no court reporter, I demand that it be continued, and I have canceled my plans off of that. And I'm thinking, they said high chance. They didn't say that it was continued, but she just announced I had plans, and now I canceled my trip because I've been declared indigent in criminal court in Arizona, and I cannot afford to lose this money, and so I'm not coming. I further object to the other side being able to get a court reporter. I don't trust that they're going to keep accurate records. I feel like anybody that they select as a court reporter is going to be 100% JFC. This isn't fair. I've been harassed for years by JFC. They are a cult. Everybody is JFC, whatever, the whole thing. By the way, I have anorexia, and gastrointestinal bleeding. I'm vomiting blood, life-threatening PTSD, and all of the other things that, list them all. Rachel's a lot better at listing them all than I am. At some point, I start tuning people out. And so I rattle things off as I go along. So she says that, and it's like late in the day. And then we tell the court that, look, we will have a court reporter there listed. We gave the name, we gave the license number, and the court basically said that they accept that. And because they've had experience with Laura Owens at this point, like because she's been harassing that, I don't want to say harassing. She's been filing all these emails and, filing ADA motions and filing writs and throwing tantrums in emails. They have come to understand that they have to be crystal clear. Hey, just so everybody knows, Judge Gold has not continued the trial tomorrow. We're expecting everybody to be there as planned, is essentially what they said. In which case, she reiterates that this isn't fair. I'm not waiving my rights. I object to private reporters. This is grossly unfair. Mike had a GoFundMe that raised $47,000. I've been declared indigent, which, by the way, we would have 100% said, well, then, Laura, you pick a court reporter and we'll pay for it. How about that? You could pick whoever you want, and then we just want somebody there to keep the record. We don't care. And then she reiterates her request to continue the thing. And then after that, there was some back and forth with the courts. And then we get a final email around 4:25, and then she just declares, I respectfully object to the person that we had designated as the court reporter that we had proposed, because she claims like lack of notice, this isn't fair, due process, violation of court rules, whatever, appearance of bias, financial inequities. She has these hardships. She relied on the court's statement that there was a high chance of no reporter and therefore canceled her plans, and she can't afford to get there or whatever. Fine. And so that was all of that. And then shortly before I'd imagine they left for the day, hey, just for clarification, this is from the court. We're going forward as planned. Nothing has been continued. We'll see you all in the morning. So anyway, what I forgot to mention was that I don't remember if it was on a November 2nd, 3rd or 4th or something like that. I think it was on November 2nd, where I got this curious email from Laura Owens, where she said, hey, just so you know, JFC's making a really big deal about me not asking for permission. I just want you to know that I've asked permission and I will be there. And I just said, Laura, I don't care what JFC is saying. I know that you've asked permission. I guess we'll see you in the morning, or we'll see you on the 5th. I don't know. It says something like that. But I just thought that was an odd email to send to somebody. And then me and Rachel were talking about it. And then Rachel's like, she doth protest too much. Nobody who's coming announces it like that. She's definitely not coming. But then she might come. And we just didn't know. We did not know how this was going to go. And so we're there, and we're all there in San Francisco. And we're just wondering what's going to happen. Is she going to show up? Is she not going to show up? Like she's not showing up, right? And if she doesn't show up, like the court isn't like, we're not going to get like another ADA thing. We had no idea. And so therefore we had no choice, but we just had to show up ready to go at 9 a.m. as planned, trial ready, fully prepared, ready for all possibilities. Maybe she storms the castle and shows up and rounds the corner into the courtroom, with her entourage in tow. I don't know if she had an entourage, but let's just say she shows up. Well, then let's go. Let's go. We were trying to what if she shows up via Zoom? What if there's another ADA thing? What do we do with the horse show information? The thing about the horse show information, I thought Rachel did a really good job explaining it on Reality Steve's show earlier today, but it was basically, it's a collateral matter. What is that going to get us? We're not getting a dismissal by showing the judge that. We could file motion for sanctions, a 128.5 motion. Sure, we could do that. I mean, you could also put that in like a post-trial attorney fees and cost motion, whatever. But what is the remedy here? If she doesn't show up as planned, then case is dismissed. If we have to raise it, we could just raise it the day of. Like, there's no point in us filing a motion prior to the 5th, because number one, it's probably going to generate a hearing date that's going to be after the trial anyway. So look, if we have to, we'll just bring it up to the judge. If it's relevant, if we need to, we'll just have that in our back pocket and we'll talk about it if we have to in front of Judge Gold on the date of trial. That was the plan. So, the morning of November 5th, I woke up like sometime around 4:30 a.m. and I can never just rely on, the high probability she's not going to show up. So I'm like going over, my trial notes, and because I can't sleep anyway. And then around 6:15, 6:20 that morning, we get another email from Laura Owens. It was addressed to the court, just basically stating that she was writing to inform that unfortunately, she had, she said basically she was advised that there was going to be high probability. She had canceled plans, but that her parents had bought her a plane ticket, and that she had a screenshot of the plane ticket. It was purchased like at 7:30 that evening, and that it was canceled at 5:20 that morning. That morning being November 5th, so refunded or whatever. I'm just saying that she canceled plans. Number one, she goes into the high probability thing again, that it was going to be continued. She objected to the court reporter. She says there were ex-parte communications throughout the day based on our questions to the court about whether or not the reporter could be remote or in person. She said that was highly illegal, violation of her constitutional rights, whatever. And then she says that unfortunately she had experienced like multiple medical conditions that required emergency treatment related to all the things that you've heard before: gastrointestinal bleeding, vomiting blood, required a medical procedure that was going to require her to be put under anesthesia. So obviously she wasn't going to be there in court. Said she was currently at the hospital. She said that given her condition, she clearly wasn't going to be there. She wanted to emphasize that she had done everything in her power to get there to court today, but it was just simply not possible due to a myriad of health conditions that she had no control over, and due to the court's ambiguous communications that misled her into thinking that the thing was going to be continued, blah, 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 whatever. That was it. It's like, okay, so she's not coming. She's not going to come. The court responded to her. The court had responded to her and basically said, "Thanks, Miss Owens, received." That was all they said. That was all they said. And so the morning of, me and Rachel had met in the lobby around 8:15. We're on our way to court, and we're just trying to figure out, like, what do we do? Because the expectation was that she wasn't going to walk into court. We were, if she showed up to court, we were ready to go. We were so overly prepared for this trial. And I think that Laura knows that. I think that the main crux with her is she does not want to be cross-examined in person. Under no circumstance could she be cross-examined and expect for it to go well. I have to believe that her criminal defense attorneys have told her that, but she's also her own person. She cannot just walk away. And so knowing that, had she shown up to court, there was definitely a plan. But the other plan was, if she doesn't show up and the judge doesn't immediately dismiss, what do we do? And I think the thing that we had settled on was, why don't we just wait and see what the judge says? Because the chances are the judge might make a record herself and just dismiss based on her previous orders. I ordered Owens to be present in court. She's not present in court. Today's the day for trial. Everybody else is here. This case is dismissed. If she did anything other than that, like, for example, inviting us to make a record, then we might have made a record. Then we might have asked for like a recess, come back at 10:30 to bring exhibits to prepare exhibits about the horse show stuff, about all the other stuff, about the 2022 email where she, on the eve of a big hearing with Greg Gillespie, had accused Gillespie and Woodnick of being involved. Well, put it this way, Laura Owens claimed that she was raped, and she highly suspected that Woodnick and Gillespie were involved and that the FBI was investigating. And this was on the eve of a big hearing. And we had written in opposition to one of her continuances that this is what Laura does. Like, she gets to these big hearings whenever it's something that is going to be requiring something of her. She conjures these emergency situations. Anyway, that was our plan. So we get to court. We're all there. It's a smaller crowd than it was the last time, but everybody was there. The mood was a little bit different because it was tenuous. It was like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if this is going to be good or bad. I think people had a tempered expectation that this was going to go well, but they didn't want to get their hopes up. We're there, and it's like 9:05. It's like 9:15. And then we get an email from the court, and it's, hey, these are the remote links for witnesses that are going to be appearing remotely. The court reporter was there. They opened the doors. They let the court reporter in at around that time, 6:15 or 9:15-ish or so. And then they're still in there. It's like 9:20, 9:25. And at this point, I told Rachel, Rachel, they must be having like another in-camera thing. I bet you that's what they're doing right now. They might be trying to continue this. And then Rachel's just like, well, all right. Like, I could see like disappointment, but it's like, if, shitty if that happens, but what could you do? I was looking at Mike, and I did not want a repeat of 2 weeks ago. So I told Mike, dude, you got to be just ready yourself for anything. Prepare yourself for bad news. They might be in there right now having another in-camera proceeding, and there might be some other bullshit. Maybe she's like on Zoom, like in a hospital bed, like IV'd up or whatever. Who knows what's going on? Just prepare yourself for anything. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes after that, they called us into the courtroom, and then Judge Gold was there. Zoom cameras were on, and nobody was on Zoom. The court reporter had taken her spot. She gave her recitation of her name and license number on the record. She had made a mention to the court reporter, oh, I guess Owens isn't there. I guess this is going to be a quick morning. And at that point, it's when I knew that we had it. It's like, we have it. And then at that point, made our appearances. This is Omar Serrano appearing from Michael Marraccini. He's president counsel table. I'm joined by Rachel Juarez, who associated in on Friday afternoon. We're ready to go. I didn't say we're ready to go, but I said what I said. And then she begins like, well, it's like 9:30. Trial was set to begin at 9 a.m. I don't see Laura Owens, president counsel table. I don't see her here present in the courtroom. There's certainly nobody in the lobby or outside of the courtroom, and she's definitely not here remotely. Therefore, given what I had previously ordered here, by the way, this is not a verbatim recitation of what she said. This is my paraphrasing of it. But based on my previous orders, I'm dismissing this case. Is there anything else you'd like to do, counsel? Yes, there is. I'd like to reserve on attorney fees and costs. Then we did reserve on attorney fees and costs. We set a future hearing for January 26th that I'm certain will be appearing remotely. No need to fly up to San Francisco for that one, where we will be making a motion for attorney fees and costs. And then that was it. And then the funny thing, the poetic justice of it all was like when we walked to the courtroom, exiting our Waymos that day, it was like a gloomy day. The clouds had blanketed the courtroom. It was dark. It was windy. It was rainy when we walked into the courtroom, and you could see the droplets of rain fall from the windows of the courtroom. And it was just everybody preparing for this thing. As we opened the doors, the sunshine had broken the clouds open and shining through the windows, and everybody was in jubilation. It's dismissed. Oh, before all of that, like when Judge Gold announced that the thing was dismissed, that like the courtroom announced it, like in cheers and a clap. I think that threw everybody off guard. It threw me off guard. It was just weird. And then the bailiff, hey, do that outside. And so we did, but it was like this huge celebration. Everybody's ecstatic, and there was tears of happiness. It was just complete 180 from what had happened just 2 weeks prior to that. And then we wake up to the news this morning at around 10 or 11 p.m. or a.m. that Laura Owens has been further indicted on 7 more felony counts related to fraud and extortion and different things. I'm guessing, and I'm pretty sure it's related to Greg Gillespie, which would, by my estimation, without having done the math, I believe brings her criminal exposure in that case to over 60 years at this point. Is she going to get 60 years? No, but I think that she's going to get a plea deal where they're going to offer her to do years in state prison. But she's going to jail for this. There's other questions related to that, and that was the news of today. Yesterday was really celebratory. The whole team was there. Lauren Knighty was there. We all went and did. I got to meet Bruce. Brad was not there today. It was funny because Lauren had texted me that Bruce was coming. And then I didn't think I was totally thought she meant IT goatee Brad. It's all great. We'll see Brad again. Like, oh, she means Bruce. I'd never met Bruce in person ever before. And I got a chance to meet him, and he's like this really tall, spindly guy, like Beanstalk. And Lauren was calling him Beanstalk. He's like 6'2" or 6'3" or something like that. But it was so good to like meet him. And then we all went to like karaoke and just had a good time and celebrated. We went out to, before that, like lunch with Mike and his wife. And we just, this huge release and weight of everything that had been heavy on all of our hearts and minds for the 2 months that we were involved in this case. That was my play-by-play of it all. And what do I think of all of that? I think that I'm glad that it's over. I'm relieved that I could release my brain from this case for at least a little bit, you know. There's going to be this thing that happens where you have all this adrenaline that's coursing through your veins for like weeks leading up to trial, and then it just kind of goes away, and then your body just becomes all blah. That's what's happening to me right now. I'm sure it's going to progress throughout the week, but it's just this huge release of adrenaline, and I am just flat out exhausted. And that's my take on all of that. Hey, Dominic, you still with me?
Yeah.
What do you think about all that, man?
Let's do some chats because we need to catch up.
But, do it. Yeah, I apologize for my ramblings, folks. I didn't expect to talk for 90 minutes. But I'm here for your questions, and I'll do the best I can to get as many as I can. Hugs, daps, drinks, bong rips. I can't do the bong rips, sir. I'm much too old for that. It's not my thing. Hugs and anything she likes as praise for Rachel. Rachel was amazing in all of this, man. To see Rachel Juarez and be able to have the opportunity to work with her, I can tell you this, that her brain, it works much different than my brain does. Her brain is like a computer, like a supercomputer. Like she just processes everything so fast. She is a force of nature. Whenever she speaks, she has this fire when she speaks. She's amazingly sharp and talented. And she deserves all of the accolades that she's getting, Emmy Award winning, and all of the things from the hot bench. Rachel Juarez is amazing. Boxing for Life for the 20 says, thank you for standing 10 toes down for Mike. Yeah, it was 10 toes and 10 knuckles. Well, yeah, 10 knuckles down for Mike. We had to dig in for this guy. It was a tough sled in there for a couple of months. Karen Cars with 5 says, what do you think their plan was that made them decide to have Gingras not rep her? Sympathy, pro se, giving her some leeway. I think legitimately that if Gingras was a normal attorney, if he didn't file any of the stupid shit that he filed, there was a universe that would exist where he could have conceivably, at the 11th hour, tried to rep Laura Owens and done some good for her case. I don't know if they would have been able to overcome the conflicts of interest, but that's not who David Gingras is. David Gingras is a sick human being. He's look, I'm not an expert or anything, but he is deteriorating. He has bizarre recitations of law, understandings of law. And what's bizarre about him is that he, according to the people that know him, say that he didn't used to always be like this, man. He used to be like a normal guy. something happened. I don't know what's going on with David, but I think that his involvement in this case severely compromised Laura's ability to effectively try this case on the merits. When he made this all about when he made this all about him and the mean things that JFC said about him, it mirrored what Laura Owens was saying about Mike. And then, like, one of the themes of our defense was like, who is she really mad at? Is she mad at Mike? Or is she mad at Honk My Meat from Reddit, from the internet, or JFC, or Lauren Knighty, or all these other people? Because it seems like all of her moving papers were just a list of grievances that she had against other people on the internet. What does this have to do with Mike? And there was no direct evidence linking anything on the internet to Mike, other than he took a picture with Clayton Eckert and Greg Gillespie after the June 10th trial, that he appeared as a witness as he was subpoenaed to be present for. And they claimed that he released 2,500 pages of text messages, which, by the way, Mike 100% did not do. And they have no evidence to support that. And they never had any evidence. And so I believe that Gingras' involvement, even in the limited capacity that it was, limited and severely hurt Owens' ability to litigate this case. It was going to be really difficult to overcome the sideshow that was the intervention pleadings from Gingras. And so there was that. I forgot I don't even know what question I was answering because Dominic took it off. But I think after all of his pleadings, he could not then, after telling the judge like 20 different times, 20 different ways that he wasn't representing Laura, if he came back to try to represent her on the 21st, for example, then he's making me a prophet. I'm now Nostradamus because I predicted he was going to do that like way back in August. And so it became a situation where it was impossible for him to try and. Also, I think that for whatever Gingras is, he's smart enough to know that there is legitimate conflicts. I think that there's legitimate problems with him trying to rep Laura Owens in this case, given his difficulties with the bar people that he's dealing with right now. So there's that. Loud Little Ducky for the 5. She's famous in pleadings now. So I don't think she asked for any of this. But David Gingras came after her for no reason. He was mad at her because she read one of my pleadings. And anyway, appreciate all the work. Thanks, Dominic, for being quick on the trigger there. Appreciate all the work you have done. And thank you. I thank you so much for that. All right. Ricardo says, be cool to Dom. Finding a sect to stop you ain't easy. I'm aware, but he usually does it with like, how did you used to do it, Dominic, with like chimes, or there's like a sound that you would play?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. We love Dominic, man. It's so glad to have him back. Dagorloth. How would you pronounce that, Dominic? Daggerloth with the $20 says, I'm so sorry your family's vacation became another victim of LO. Your sacrifice and incredible work for Mike showed you and wife to be a quality humans of the highest character. Well, what I promised my wife is that if this vacation goes by the wayside, I promise that we're going to go on a better vacation at a future time. We just got to book it, but we will. It just means, hey, we're not going to get the vacation for this week, but we will get it in a subsequent week where we wouldn't have had it before. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And by the way, my wife has shown so much grace and all of that. And my biggest worry was like, oh, I don't want to go home and tell her that the vacation is off and like everybody's been looking forward to it. That was the hardest. It was one of the hardest parts for me. But I think it's going to have a happy ending. I think it is. My wife gave me the thumbs up. So we're cool. We're cool. Except I will say that the actual act of canceling the vacation, she couldn't press the button. She made me press the button. Say, here, I can't do it. You press it. Oh, all right. And so I had to press the button, and then the vacation was canceled. And, it was a sad moment, but we were fine. We were fine. And we will be fine. And I thank you so much for that comment. Angie with a 5 says, can you still seek some sort of expungement of Mike's DVROs because of LO's fraud? Here's the thing with that. Do I think that there is merit to the 473 argument? Yeah, I do. Do I think that it's a winning argument? I'm not so sure. It's a really hard thing to overcome. Proving it would mean putting Mike's family through a lengthy trial. bringing Clayton and Greg and all of these other witnesses. There's probably 10 or 11 or more witnesses that we'd have to bring to essentially prove extrinsic fraud. That's kind of complicated because there's pending investigations and it's hard to get law enforcement to corroborate things that she's been accused of and not yet convicted of. It's not that they can't come in to testify, it just makes it tricky. And so can we do that? Can he do that in the future? If he's going to do it ever, he would have to do it right now because the clock is ticking on that. We withdrew our 473 motion on purpose. Number one, because we wanted to consolidate the trial issues. We did not think after preparing enough for this trial that we necessarily needed the 473. Our view of the 473 was we could litigate the renewal first and then do the 473 if we weren't getting anywhere with the renewal defense. But the way that that would actually work is we'd have to litigate the 473 first. That means we're guaranteeing putting Mike's family through an entire multiple day trial that nobody wants to go for. And so it was really Mike's call on what he wants to do with that. He absolutely can still try to bring that motion. But the point is, doesn't matter because it's done. He no longer has a restraining order against him. This restraining order is dead. It's not like a crime that he's been convicted of where you could expunge it like that. The 473 mechanism is to set it aside as if it never happened, I guess, effectively making it like, I guess, kind of like an expungement. But he doesn't need to do that. There's not really much in it for him. The thing is dead, and now he gets the ability to move on. And I completely understand his decision or desire to just let it go and let it be. He is the victor in all of this, and she's got bigger problems. There is a time where there is, she's going to have to face the music. People who've been following this case have wanted us to draw blood with all of this. But you were never going to get it from this case. That's something that happened from the medical case. And what I mean by that is, having her putting on all the proof, just laying it out how she's defrauded people and perjured people and altered medical records and forged things and extorted people. All of those things are coming. It was never going to be in this case where all those things that were going to happen. And so if it didn't happen now, the most important thing to us is to make sure that Mike was free of this, and now he is. And all of those things that everybody wants to happen is coming in the criminal case. And they're going to have a lot more leeway to do all of those things and a lot more time to get it done without all of the other complications. And so there's that. I hope that answers your question. Next one, Julie Halverson with a 5 says, thanks for representing Mike. What do you think they will offer for a plea deal in her criminal case? If I was a prosecutor, I'd offer her 6 years in state prison if she pled guilty to 4 of the felonies. Is that what they're going to do? I don't know. I could also see them. The problem with that is she has to show a measure of remorse for what she's done. I don't know if she's got the ability to do that. I tried my damnedest to speak reason to her, to try to appeal to her human side. The funny thing about her is just that there's been very few times where I've communicated with Laura Owens where I felt like I was speaking to a human. Like I always felt like I was speaking to angry ChatGPT or angry David Gingras, or just there's everything that I say to her, I felt like was being calculated in her brain as a way to attack something, which makes it exhausting and daunting, really, to deal with. For her to get a favorable plea deal, which I don't think would be less than 2 years in state prison, I think that she would have to show a measure of remorse and apologize to the victims, and I'm not sure she's ever going to do that. And so, therefore, I 100% think there's going to be a trial, and then it's going to be up to a sentencing judge about how much time she does. And so, I guess we'll see. I know that she hasn't yet been offered a plea, and I thought the reason for that was because they were probably going to bring more charges, and they did bring more charges. And so I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes from here. But no, I don't think there's going to be a plea deal. I think this is going to trial in January unless it gets continued for some reason. So there's that. Was that the last one?
Yeah, that was the last one.
Okay. Is there any other good questions out there floating around that I've missed that you've observed? I can't even. How do I even get the chat back on here again? I'm so rusty at this.
There should be like an arrow.
I used to be able to see it. Oh, there it is. No, but that's not. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Amy Bonner. Hey, what's up, Amy? She says, well. Oh, wait. Jennifer C says, expunging the DVR wouldn't change the past on all that he has gone through. Exactly. That's what Rachel said. Rachel said, like, winning on the 473 issue is not, you're not going to be able to go back in time and not be stopped by TSA for the last 7 years that he's, all these things. It's not going to take away all of the pain him and his family have had to endure at the hands. I think the biggest gift that Mike has in all of this is that he's no longer forced to interact with Laura Owens, and that in of itself is a gift worth preserving. Why in the F would you voluntarily want to get involved in litigation with Laura Owens? Oh, were you what? Oh yeah.
They've been there and so supportive and having his back, knowing that he hasn't done anything, just because of this crazy lady.
Yeah, my wife is saying she had like a mean face. I was like, "What did I say?" she was just saying that, yeah, Mike's family and everything they've gone through. It's like, yeah, look, not having to litigate against Laura Owens and being free of having to appear at future dates with her and having to do discovery and go through emails and communications and bullshit. I would take that over litigating the 473 thing. For what? What is he going to get out of it? Setting it aside, it's done with. Just leave it in the past. I totally get that. At the same time, if he wanted to go through the academic exercise of litigating the 473, I do think that there is a puncher's chance that it would prevail. I think, if I was reading Judge Gold correctly, that she was willing to entertain the legal arguments and listen to the evidence the way that she was talking about the 473 when we talked about it, when she was addressing Laura Owens' request for a continuance. But we are unlikely to ever know. So we will see. Mike's headphone says, you signed up for litigating against her, though. Yes, I did. But the problem is that Mike Marraccini is my boss. And what I signed up for is representing his interest. And if he has no interest in doing this and prolonging things, then that's what it is. And if he's at peace, then I'm at peace. If he told me, no, I want to litigate the 473 thing, then we would 100% be litigating the 473. So it's 100% Mike's call. He could 100% change his mind tomorrow and say, yeah, let's go forward on that. But you're not going to get blood out of this case. The criminal case is forthcoming. That is going to be the time. Oh, Mike says, I'm teasing you, Omar. I know, and I agree. I know. It's just, but that was, honestly, believe me, when I worked really hard on that 473, I was losing sleep over the 473 because the academic arguments were difficult to make. Because on the one hand, he stipulated to it. On the other hand, he did it under false pretenses or under conditions that he couldn't possibly have known. And the California courts, the case law doesn't really offer much direction in either way. So I don't think it's as simple as saying that, well, he stipulated to it, therefore he's not entitled to that. And therefore should be dismissed. I also don't think it's as simple as, well, she lied about this and that. And therefore he should be entitled to relief. Not at all, because after all, he did agree to it. And so the academic exercise of going through that, Mike's mental health and his family's mental health and their ability to move on was more important to me. And if he tells me to drop it, we're dropping it. And that's just how it is. What's up, Stephanie B? She says, can the judge Google LO now that the case is dismissed? I hope she does. I don't know. I don't think that she can. I'm pretty sure that she can, as a matter of fact. And I hope that she doesn't for her own mental health. I'll say that. And Sue says, good questions about LO's witnesses, criminal investigation in California, and Lauren's omnibus motion to strike DG's sideshow thing. Oh, I guess what they're saying is there were good questions. I guess I could. Oh, LO's witnesses. I was really looking forward to cross-examining Ariana Huffington. I'm a little disappointed that I'm not going to get that opportunity. Also, I was looking forward to speaking with Napkin Lady, and I was looking forward to seeing Mike's family's reaction to being witnesses for Laura Owens. That was a strange inclusion onto her witness list. Yeah, I don't think that her witness list was made in good faith. And furthermore, she wrote motions in limine against our witnesses, and 100% tried to intimidate one of our witnesses because that's the kind of person that Owens is. And really, that's what she does. She threatens people. When she doesn't like you, she threatens you. If you write a negative piece against you or against her, and then she threatens you with defamation lawsuits. And whoever has produced content that is negative to her, I'm sure has gotten a nasty email from Laura Owens. I have been threatened with the defamation lawsuits and bar complaints and the like for every little thing. Every time that she becomes aware of somebody that may be a witness, I would get an email from Laura Owens telling me how she believes that potential witness is not credible because of X, Y, and Z. Is it an attempt to intimidate witnesses? I don't know. I just know that she's that's her thing. She threatens folks. That is her style. Is there going to be a criminal investigation in California? I don't know. I haven't seen any traction with anything related to that. I think there might be time barred issues, but if they think that she perjured herself in these proceedings, possibly. I guess we'll know more information later. We'll see. As for Nighty's omnibus motion to strike DG's slideshow thing, I honestly don't know what happened with that. It has nothing to do with me at all. I don't know if they're even set a hearing for that or not. I'd be curious just for entertainment value to see what happens with it, though. I'll be looking forward to that. Anyway, with that, Sir Crazy says, can't they get her for lying to the top judge about being too sick to go yet competing in a horse comp? The answer to that is, of course they can. But get her for what is the question. Can she be held in criminal contempt for lying to the court? Maybe. Could she be criminally prosecuted for perjuring herself if they can prove it? Can she be sanctioned for that? Yes. Are we going to address that in our fees motion? Of course. Hey, Rob is in the what's up, Rob? He says, Omar, I will let you know how CCMC goes on November 18th, 2025. Sir, I've been checking into your streams, getting my updates from you directly. I've been lurking in your chat every now and then, getting the updates on what's going on with all those cases. So I will continue to do that. Randall Parker says, Omar, you have a beautiful soul. Well, I guess it just depends on who you ask, because if you ask David Gingras, David Gingras says he wants to, well, I heard that he wanted to punch me in the face. My response to that would be like, we should set that up. We should do like a YouTube boxing match. We should do like an oversized gloves. We could do like a miniature ring and do like a for YouTube boxing match. I'd be down. You could give him his opportunity. I don't want to be accused of threatening him with violence or anything. So I'm completely kidding. I will never do that. I'm not threatening anybody with anything. Just know. I'm just saying that if you ask David Gingras if I have a beautiful soul, he would say, no, I do not. He would have other choice words to say. And that would be fun to examine. One more question. Roxanne, it's good to see you. If the prosecution in Arizona offer, I'm like seeing all of you folks from like my past streams and like getting reacquainted with all of you because I've been absent for so long. She says, if the prosecution in Arizona offers her a plea, it should be the minimum sentence for each charge. If for each charge, it try her luck with the trial. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how they're going to go about that. But that's a logical way to do it. That's certainly a way to do it. I think the big question is, are they going to consolidate these charges and have one big trial, which I would not want to do that. Number one, that's a lot of charges to have to prove a trial. That is flipping exhausting to have a jury sit there to have to have a prosecutor prove every single element of 14 different counts of stuff. That's a long trial. I don't think anybody wants to do that. If it were me, I would separate the two. I would have a Gillespie case and I would have an Eckerd case, and I would move to prosecute the one with the strongest evidence first, because if you win the first one, you're probably going to win the second. That's the way that I would do it. Rob with the $2 says, I'll let you know how the CCMC. Yeah, I thought I read that one. I would love to hear the questions you prepared. Oh, maybe, well, not tonight. Not tonight. I'll tell you what. I've done many mock cross-examinations of all of my witnesses for many weeks now, and I don't care to do it here live on stream, but I don't know. We'll see if we can do something like that. Sister Kate with 100 with the $5 says, seems like you never knew which Laura you were going to speak to. I don't know. I knew when I was speaking to Laura, I did have a phone conversation with her that I thought was pleasant. You know, talking to her on the phone was different. She seemed normal. We had a friendly conversation. It was related to I don't even remember what we were talking about, but it was about her motion to continue. And I was just telling her that we were going to pose it, but I would entertain something about continuing the 473. Anyway, but I had a conversation with her and she seemed normal, but in email form, she's just so exhausting. And it just feels like she is angrily typing in a chat GPT and GPT is giving her angry responses. And it's like this huge stream of just negative stuff. And it's like, oh, what now, Laura? Got to the point I'm like dreading looking at my phone. It's another Owens email. All right, I'll just read that later. I just need a minute. I can't right now. I can't even right now. Scorpion says, don't even do it, Omar. I have to say it, but I hate to say it, but you never know when you may have to ask her those questions under oath. Yeah, that's probably a really bad idea. All of my trial prep is probably going to stay trial prep. I don't think I'll ever do that. But yeah, I'm happy not to do it, honestly. You're going to get your chance to see what that's going to be like. I'm more interested to see if she's going to testify at her criminal trial because it's really up to her. But then again, I guess if our case is any indication, she really doesn't want to be cross-examined. So maybe she exercised her Fifth Amendment rights. I don't think she's going to testify. That's my official prediction. Sean Poe says, seems your interactions with her are par for the course for her based on what she's done to the men. I don't, yeah. Look, man, Mike is a saint. I don't know. Just the act of, it's just so much with her. It's just, here's what I'm going to say about Laura. I wish that I hope that she finds, I genuinely hope that she finds peace in whatever it is that she's going through. If she's possessed by a demon, if she has a mental illness, if she is a prisoner of her own doing, if she is a prisoner in her mind and she can't let things go, I genuinely hope that she finds a way to release herself of this mess that she's created for herself. And I genuinely hope that she finds happiness somewhere. Like, I don't want anything bad to happen to her. What? Yeah, after my wife said after jail. Yeah, well, maybe she'll I don't know, maybe she'll pick up the Quran and learn some things. Maybe she'll pick up some books about Alan Watts, about the falsity of ego and the illusion of ego, and find some peace within her own psyche there. You never know. Ed Gein did it. I don't know if have you guys watched the Ed Gein documentary? Man, go watch that show on Netflix. They actually found a way to make Ed Gein, the guy that was the inspiration for like Psycho and Leatherface and it puts the lotion on the skin guy in Silence of the Lambs. They found a way to make that guy like a sympathetic character. Fascinating watch. It's a little weird, but watch it. It was a good show. Yes, it is Monster. Go watch it. It's worth a watch. I wouldn't binge it because some of those episodes are a bit much, but do it. I heard it wasn't factual. It probably wasn't factual. There's no effing way it was factual. But there is a podcast that actually goes over a factual account of Ed Gain's life and upbringing and some of the things that he went through. And it's not that far off. I'm sure they took liberties with some of the more salacious things. But that's another time for another show. I vote Possession. Yeah, that's a good. I watched. Did we watch Possession? I don't remember if that's worth. Gain, pronounce it Gain. I said Gain, didn't I? It is pronounced Gain. Man, I hated the Bundy one and the other. Yeah, I didn't like the Bundy one either, and the other Monster season, but the Gain one was good. And the Gain one was kind of a tough watch, you know. Yeah, but it was cool seeing what was that actor's name? I forget. He's a good actor. I like that guy. The Sons of Anarchy guy, Jax Teller. Anyway, folks. Hey, Rob says, just don't call her on the phone at 6:47 a.m. I will make it a point to not. Charlie Hunman, that's his name. Folks, I got to go, man. I'm exhausted. I had no intention of speaking for 2 hours, and yet I have. That means it's like 11 o'clock. I am running on fumes. And I love you all. It's really good to be able to stream with you guys and talk about this case. In closing, I'll just say that thank you to everybody who contributed something to our movement. Thank you to my entire legal team for all of your help and support. Thank you to Rachel Juarez for everything that she was and everything that she contributed, and to all of her keeping me sane in the midst of all of the chaos. Thank you to my wife for being so gracious with allowing me to do what I had to do to get this done. And thank you to all of you for tuning in and watching. I love you all, and we will see you guys later. I'm going to be streaming probably tomorrow. Maybe I'll have Mike on to talk about this, to be able to share some of his thoughts. And at some point, I'm sure I'm going to do a stream with Rachel. We just got to figure out when that's going to be. But folks, I love you all, and I guess we will see you all next time. Bye-bye. Oh, and a big welcome back to Dominic. Hey, Dominic, do you have any closing words?
No, I don't. Just good to be back. Crazy to see chat again. It's insane seeing all of this, but yeah.
Do you remember when we first got a hold of this case? Like, I think like you and I, like, you'd been gone for a while, and I told you about the Owens case. Like, are you still talking about that case? I was like, not only am I talking about it, but I'm now representing one of the guys.
Yeah, that's insane. I didn't even know that. So like, I was kind of shocked right now when you were talking about it. I was like, dude, what the heck? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
But anyway, all right, folks, I got to go. I love you all. I'll see you all next time. Hey, Dominic, you're going to need your beauty rest, man. Get some sleep.
Yes, sir.
See you all next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.